Like I mentioned in the last video on array methods, this is going to be a little bit different than variables, but it's essentially a separate way that we can define strings. So let's just create a string. We'll say let a equal, and we'll define it like normal. We'll say hi, and we'll just do console.log of a, and you can see it prints out hi. Okay, pretty straightforward. We can use single quotes or double quotes as I've talked about, but since we have prettier setup, it just automatically converts everything to double quotes for us. But there's a third way. We can use what's called a backtick. This is the tilde key. It's right above the tab on most keyboards. And if we click this, you can see that now we've defined a string using these backticks instead. And if we save, we get the exact same thing being printed out. And generally, I don't define very many strings with backtick because it's just an awkward key to use on the keyboard. But backticks have one really cool use case, and that's the fact that you can combine them with variables in order to make your strings really nice. So let's create another variable b, which is equal to world. We'll just change this back to double quotes for now. And normally if we wanted to print out these combined together for hello world, we'd say a plus a space plus b. And now we get hello world being printed out. But this is kind of sloppy syntax. I mean, we have a lot of pluses, these weird spaces. It's a little bit hard to tell exactly what is going on by looking at this string of text here. So instead, what we can do is use the backticks to write out a string, and inside this string we can inject variables. So we want this string to say hello world. We want hello to be a, and we want world to be b. So in order to say that we want to use the variable a inside of here, what we do is we put a $sign followed by a curly bracket, and then we need to close off our curly bracket. So we have $sign curly bracket, our variable, and then our ending curly bracket. Do the exact same thing for our b. And now you can see this prints out the text hello world down here. Both of these are exactly the same, but this bottom one, in my opinion, is much easier to read because we're saying, okay, we have this variable a, we have the variable b, and we're separating them by a space. And the nice thing is we can do anything we want here. We could do math. For example, we could say 2 plus 3. Now we get 5 world. Any JavaScript code can be put inside of this $sign curly bracket and closing curly bracket. It just runs whatever JavaScript you have in here. So in our case, when we put a variable such as this a variable hello, it just takes the string hello and places it in there for us. This is something that I'm going to use all throughout the course, especially when we start doing projects, because it just makes typing out these types of variable things so much easier. So because of that, let me give you an example to try out. I want you to create 2 variables, one for your first name and one for your last name, and combine them together with backticks. So I'm going to give you a second, try this out, and then I'm going to show you how to do it. So pause the video here. Okay, hopefully you've had a chance to do this. So we can just come down here. We'll say const a is equal to Kyle. Whoops, I cannot spell today. And we'll say const b is equal to Cook. And then we want to combine these together. So console.log, in the backticks here, we're going to have our first variable, which is a, space, and our second variable, which is b. And now you can see it prints out first name, space, last name, exactly like we want it to. And this backtick syntax is called template literals. You may also hear these referred to as template strings or template literal strings. It's really just a template string or a template literal. It doesn't matter. It's all the same thing, so it doesn't matter what you call it. But essentially, it's this idea of using backticks and this $sign curly brace syntax. And that's all there is to these template string literals. They're actually very straightforward. It's just a backtick, and you can put variables or JavaScript inside of it. And that's all there is to template string literals. In the next video, we're going to be taking a look at the new and this keyword and how they interact with objects in JavaScript. This is a very confusing topic for beginners, so I highly recommend you check this video out, and I can't wait to see you there.